Hello. Excuse my messy mat here. We're gonna get a little bit messy today. So I plan on doing a work together. However, I've already started this work together twice. So some of the project is already done. But I will explain to you what I've done so far, and then you can pause it and catch up if you want to work with me. What I'm going to make is a grunge board mini album. I'm using the Tim Holtz grunge board. And the only reason I'm using it, normally I would just use regular chipboard, but I got this clearanced for a really good deal at Archivers when they went out of business. And I really like the way that it feels. And I know that once I cover it with paper, I won't be able to feel it as well, but it will still be sort of flexible, and that's what I like about this. So I'm going to use that, and I'm also going to use this paper pack, which I got at the same time, clearanced for, I think it was like 75% off, so it was a really good deal. But they only had one, and generally I like to buy two because when I make a larger mini album, or when I make a mini album, I tend to run out of papers, and I like to have enough. I don't want to start a project and then run out of paper. But they only had one, so I just bought the one, and I had sort of been holding on to it until I could think of something to do with it. So I decided today I'm going to use it. I'm going to do a work together. So let's go ahead and get started. To start off, I cut down my chipboard. I cut down 5 pieces to 4x6, and I realized that that's kind of a waste of the grunge board, but I wanted to get as much paper out of my paper pad as I could, so I wanted to keep at least one of my measurements, or I wanted to keep all of my measurements under 6, and doing it this way I will be able to get even more out of the paper pad. So I cut them down to 4x6, and then I also cut down I cut down 2 pieces for the covers, and I cut those to 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. Okay, and then I also went ahead and I inked all of the edges in black because I wasn't going to wrap this. I'm just going to cover the chipboard with the paper, and I wanted the edges to look more finished, so I inked them all in black. And then just in case some of my papers didn't fit exactly, I put the edges with black too, so that it would all coordinate. And then the last thing that I've done so far is I cut out my hinges, and I cut 2 of my hinges to 2 by 6 1/4, and then I scored them. I punched them and scored them, and I gave myself a 1/4 of an inch gusset in the middle, and then scored them. And then I did 4 of them that were 6 by 2, and did the same thing, a 1/4 inch gusset, and punched them. Okay, and you'll see how we're going to use those in a moment. And then, so I guess we can just go ahead and get started right away. And what I like to do when making a mini album is I like to start with my covers. And I do that because I don't want to run out of a certain kind, or I want to pick the paper that I like the best. If I don't start with the cover, I always pick the paper that I'm going to use as my cover first. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do, because I don't want to cut any of my paper to 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, is I'm going to cover this with black paper so that I will have a little bit of a black border around the edge. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply some of this wet glue to the grunge board here. And then I'm going to take my paper and just Actually, what I should do, I should put some right along the edge too, because you want to make sure that this is going to stay down on your edges since you're not wrapping it. I generally always wrap my chipboard with the paper so that it goes all the way around and then I don't have to worry about butting it right up to the edges. But if you're just covering your chipboard, you definitely want to make sure that you get it to the edges. You get the glue all the way to the edges. And then I'm going to go ahead, if you have oh, that's not good. If you have a brayer, this would be a good time to use it. If you don't, just do like I'm doing and use your bone folder and just really press the paper onto there really well. My bone folder left some paint on there. That's too bad. Then I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife and run it right up to the edge of my grunge board there and remove the excess paper. This generally works best with a good blade, but I currently do not have one. And then just make sure all of your edges are just really stuck down. I like to go along all of my edges really well. Okay. So there's that. Then we're going to flip it over and we're going to do the exact same thing. For some reason, I have to squeeze this bottle really hard to get the glue out of here. I don't know why. Perhaps my hole is still a little too small. Let's do that. And then we'll see what happens. There we go. Okay. And I'm only going to use the glue on the covers. I'm not going to use the glue on the inside pages. I'm not a big fan of using wet glue. It's messy, it's time consuming, it takes a lot of time to dry, and I just don't like it. But sometimes I prefer to use it on my covers, even with as much as I don't like it, because it stiffens up and adds a little bit more, a little bit of a thickness to your album, to your covers, so it will make it stick down a little bit better. I must have failed kindergarten or something, but I've just never been really good with the wet glue. I don't like the bubbles that I get. I don't like anything. So, and I hate that it goes like that. So let's clean that up real quick. And then I'm just gonna try to wipe some of that off. And hope that in the end it won't look as messy as it does right now. So there we go. So there we we have our, whoops, we have a little excess here that we needed to take off. Okay, so there is one done. We're going to let that sit aside and dry a little bit because we don't want to mess with it while it's drying. Then we're going to do another one. Okay. Get a little more glue here. And I wonder if it would work better if I sort of flattened it out a little bit. Maybe I would get a little less of a seepage out of there and ruin the front side a little less if I do that. Well, let's give it a go and see what happens. Okay, just put that on there. And then take the bone folder and squish it all in there. Okay, then we're gonna cut that off. Like so. Well, I did get a little bit of a little less seepage. So maybe the way to go is to paint it on with a credit card. It still doesn't look quite as good as it does when I use tape, but that's okay. It could also be the tape I'm using, or the glue I'm using, because normally I would use the Scotch Quick Dry, but I got a couple of bottles of these. I think I got them as a gift. I can't remember where I got them, but I know I wouldn't have bought these normally, but maybe I did buy them, they were just really cheap, or maybe I think I might have gotten them as a gift. So I've tried them out, and now I know I would never buy them again because I didn't like them. But I tried them. I normally, if I do use wet glue, I normally do use the Scotch Quick Dry. Okay. So it does look like at least flattening it out, the glue, created a little less seepage, so this page looks better than the other one at least. Okay, now we're done with the glue, thank goodness. Now we can go on and put the glue away because I'm not going to use that anymore for this project. Alright, then the next step is to find my cutter, which seems to have fallen on the ground. Okay. There we go. Now, I know that I want this one to be my cover. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut it down to 4. And nope. I'm going to cut it to 4 by 6. Okay, so I have 2 of those. One is going to be my front cover, and one is going to be my back cover. I wonder if I should put... Nah, I'm gonna leave it like that. I like that. It's good enough for me. I'm gonna put those up though because I don't want to put them on yet until that stuff dries. So I have that set. Now I'm gonna work on these. I know I want to